And welcome to Twins Daily's post-game pint. The Minnesota Twins are hopefully, did they just wrap up the game versus the White Sox? Did we manage to hit it right at last out?
We got to win.
Got to win, good. 8-2 win over the White Sox, or 8-1 or 8-2?
Yep, something like that. 8-1. 8-1.
8-1, good. 8-1 win over the White Sox. Before we get started and I introduce the panelists and we start talking about some of the topics, let me tell you a little bit what we do here. You'll see at the bottom of your screen a chat function. We'd appreciate it if you use that chat function. In particular, what we're looking for today is things that Bert Blyleven is known for. Put those things in there. Throughout the half hour that we'll be talking, approximately half hour we'll be talking, each of us will be trying to slip some of those phrases that you put in the chat into the conversation, and we'll have a little contest to see who does the best job of that at some point. You can also see a Q&A button there at the bottom of your screen as you hover down there. That's a good place to ask questions of us. We have a couple topics to address ourselves, and we'll raise some topics, but we really want to address your topics. So make sure you do that as well. And to start out, I'm going to introduce Jeremy Nygaard, who's currently on mute. See if he, Jeremy, welcome to the Postgame Pint. Did you bring a Postgame Pint?
I had the beer picked out, but it got to be too late, and it's going to be saved for the next one.
Gotcha. How about you, Seth Stohs of Twins Daily?
Are we live?
Yes, we're live.
Some of us are. Yeah. A little water.
Those of Saudi? Yeah.
By the way, everyone gets that was a Bert-ism right there, right? Remember,
yeah, I suppose one of the Bert-isms might be that he swore on the air that time. Did he not swear? Did he drop the F-bomb? Is that what it was? You guys remember that?
Yep, that was what I was referring to.
Yeah.
Sunday afternoon game on not cable TV.
I've got a black currant tart ale from Finnegan's, who just celebrated their 20th anniversary yesterday. So that's it. This game didn't go 12-6, but it seemed to last forever. The Twins still won 8-1, and they really reestablished their dominance, I guess, over the White Sox again whenever they're not starting like Lucas Giolito or Dallas Keuchel. I think the White Sox pitching has been suspect all year. They didn't do anything to change it at the trade deadline. That's sort of my initial take on this, is that the White Sox can look a lot different depending on who's on the mound for that team. And this is the second time they beat up Lopez pretty well. How about you, Jeremy Nygaard? What's your Twins' take of the game?
I think I don't know if it's the pitching that's so bad for the White Sox as it is their defense has just been not good.
Oh, man, it's been brutal. It's been brutal in both series.
Yeah. So even if their pitching is going to have to be almost flawless, because 4 errors today. Was it 3 errors the first inning yesterday, or it seems like yesterday, but
right.
Today was a long day. I don't know what day it is anymore. But yeah, that's my take, is that they're going to have a hard time winning the division with teams that can pitch and defend and hit, when they can do some of those things but can't defend at all. The pitching is going to have to be really good, and their lineup's going to have to be great. So, the Twins did enough to win. They scored 8 runs. The defense wouldn't have really mattered that much, probably because the Twins are hitting the ball. But I would definitely take the Twins defense over the White Sox defense any day.
What's you, Seth? What's your takeaway from this game? What's your story from the game?
Yeah, and I think Jeremy's right. Jeremy's right. The White Sox defense was bad, and that's noticeable because the Twins defense tonight was really bad too at times. Obviously, Jake Cave made the nice play there. Miguel Sano's made a couple of nice plays, but Luis Ariz has struggled this series. But my of the game is, I think number one, to me, there's 2 huge stories of the game. I'll go with one of them. That's the return of Josh Donaldson. Yesterday, Buxton, but Donaldson being back and coming through. He had a big hit in the first at bat, and then he had a huge hit in the second at bat, driving in a couple runs, giving the Twins a bigger lead. I know he struck out a couple times after that. He made a nice play or two at third. The last couple of bats weren't pretty, but I just think having him back, and then you can get Buxton and Donaldson both in there. Pineda's back in the rotation. It just feels a little bit more normal. And the only downside of that thought process is Arise and Kepler having to leave the games with injuries of some sort tonight, and hopefully we'll find out soon that they're not real severe, but that could become a storyline real quickly as well.
Yeah, if we get if we get Bucks, I mean, to me, it felt like a whole different team the last two games than it did over the weekend. We had Buxton back yesterday. We had Pineda back today. We had Berrios shining today. We had Donaldson back today, making a big difference. It really made a big difference for this team.
Yeah, that was the key point.
Right. I'm going to switch to a poll right now here quick for the initial take and launch the polling on this. I see some stuff in the chat. We can't get rid of individual comments in the chat. All we can do is get them out of there once they start, ban those people once we start, so they're out of the participants right now. That's just a fatal flaw in Zoom's stuff. So instead, we're going to start taking a look at the polling here. Which of the takes of the panelists did you like the best? That Jeremy with the White Sox defense is really bad. Me, that the White Sox pitching is beyond their top couple is pretty bad. Or that Seth just being excited that Josh Donaldson is back. If you'll enter your vote there, we'll take care of that.
I do think Seth's point about the injuries, that may be the storyline of this by the time we wake up tomorrow, or at least by the time the Twins kick off on Friday afternoon. That could be a really big deal.
What do you guys think about what do we think is going to happen for both of those injuries? I mean, let me just start with this. Let's assume that they're both on the 10-day IL, right? I mean, these are both soft tissue injuries. They seem like they are the kind of injuries that would necessitate a 10-day trip to the IL. They're going to want to get both of those players ready for the this guys get him healthy for the postseason, and if we to do that, I think they're going to end up going on the IL. Who do you think is going to get called up, and who would you guys call up?
Well, I'll start because I think Jeremy and I were both involved in this question on Twitter. In my opinion, if Max Kepler goes on the injured list, it's Lamont Wade unless they believe that Kepler would be out for the season, which I hope that's not the case, obviously. In that case, maybe it's Kirilloff. But I think the interesting one is one that Jeremy kind of verified for me a little bit too, that someone had asked the question, what can they do if Arise is out? And my comment was bring back Ildemaro Vargas because they haven't put him on waivers presumably yet, and they have 10 days to decide what to do with him. And really DFAing him is just taking him off the 49-man roster. Now they could put him back. Of course, that would necessitate another 40-man roster move. So maybe, Jeremy, if you can verify that, I think you've got a time in history where the Twins have had to do that very thing. To me, that's probably the easy choice. The other choice might be, calling up Astudillo at some point there.
Yeah, so I remembered the case with Adam Everett. I don't know how many years ago it was, a long time, where they DFA'd him before a game, and then Alexi Casilla got hurt during the game, and then they basically just added Everett back to the roster. Now, the one thing that's kind of an unknown is there's so many different technical things that can happen. and how, designated for assignment means basically we're taking off the 40-man roster and we're gonna make a decision what we're gonna do in the next 7 days. And one of those things is being re-added to the roster. You don't see it very often, but that would be an option. I think probably the option that makes the most sense from the perspective of you get back a guy that can play second base. I don't know how they make room on the 40-man. Would be my big question. Wade would be a real easy add to the outfield. Astudillo would be a real easy add to be a utility guy. If you just want to play Marwin at second base, I think that's a possibility. It's just really hard to say, is it a short-term thing, is it a long-term thing? If it's a long-term thing, then you kind of have to figure out who your full-time outfielder is going to be, because it could be Marwin Gonzalez unless he's your full-time second baseman. So there's just a lot of moving parts in this, and I think Kepler's looks a little less severe, but groins can be funny, and we don't really know anything about Arise at this point. But a knee, I mean, he's had knee issues before, Seth. Is it the same knee? Do you know?
I don't know. He was just kind of hopping, and I don't know that it is the same knee.
But the same knee.
I'm not exactly sure what happened there, and he just walked off. Yeah, I don't know. It seemed to be.
But he had the ACL in whatever year that was too, right away in that season. Remember, he missed that whole year.
Yeah, it's your first year at Fort Myers.
Yeah, so I mean that could be, at the time I don't know that it was even released how big of a deal it was. I mean, an ACL is a big deal, but typically you tear an ACL and you got cartilage stuff, meniscus stuff, other ligament stuff going on there too. So, I mean, who at this point, who really knows? And he had been shaky defensively, and hasn't really looked like himself either. So you wonder if it's just something that nagged and then got way worse. So it's going to be a big deal. Luckily, there's a couple days to figure it out. And again, the training site that they will call up from is just down the road.
Why don't we switch to player of the game, guys? Let me hear who both of your players of the game are.
Who do you want to start?
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I'll take Berrios because I think he was the most important player today. Great game today. His final line was 6 innings, 8 strikeouts, 2 walks, 3 hits. Hit one guy, threw 99 pitches, got a ton of swinging strikes. And if that's the Berrios moving forward, that's going to be a really big deal for the Twins. We've seen him at his best this year. We've also seen him at his inconsistent, probably not worse, but not great. So if this is the Berrios going forward for the next 6 weeks, that would be huge. And I think this is a great step forward.
What's your Seth?
Before I get to mine, I would add that I think this is probably the best Berrios has been, and I think he pitched better than the line indicated. Like, the pitch count tells you that he had to come out after 6, but he was definitely hurt by some defense. He was hurt by a couple of missed calls behind the plate. And that's not to say he was perfect. He had the back-to-back walks, I think one of those innings that really cost him some pitches, but that was after a couple of misplays on defense as well. So hard to argue with Berrios. I'm going to sound like the biggest Donaldson backer for a guy that didn't necessarily even want the Twins to sign him. But again, having him back is a nice thing. It's obviously a huge thing. It's their big offseason guy that they spent some money on like they never have before. But also, I know John's favorite statistic in the world is WPA, and he was right up there in large part because of the huge 2-run hit that he had, I believe in the second, it might have been the 3rd inning. And that, like I said, gave them a big lift. It was just kind of this, our guy's back. The guy we spent money on is back. Our leader's back. The guy that I think they're going to rely on to be the, maybe the voice, the intensity, that kind of stuff. And he came through right away. Again, the last 3 at-bats weren't great, but you can't expect him to be perfect after missing about 5 or 6 weeks. So I would go with Donaldson. I will go with Donaldson, even if, unfortunately, Jeremy took the first pick and got the best easy player.
I'm going to go with Jay Cave, and I'm going to take a little bit of credit. He was in a terrible slump, and then on Monday night I tweeted out that how terrible of a slump he was, and an attempt to reverse jinx him, and he's been on fire ever since. He had a big hit that game, and he ended up having a pretty good game yesterday, and he ended up having a couple good games today. I think especially if Kepler ends up being out, we could see some Jake Cave, especially versus right-handed batters in a corner outfield spot with Buxton still roaming in center field, and I think that's it would be a huge hit, a huge result if he gets back. So
They kept saying over and over tonight how Berrios has dominated the White Sox throughout his career, which is absolutely true. This is a different White Sox team, a different White Sox lineup. So again, I think beating them handily tonight is a good thing. But my point is going to be that they didn't bring up how Jake Cave has absolutely killed the White Sox this year, going back to the Grand Slam on the opening weekend. He had a big 2-run single in their big inning, the first inning of the season against Lucas Giolito. He had the big hit on, I believe, on Monday night, whatever game one of this series was. He had some big plays defensively, and again had the big home run again tonight. So Jake Cave hasn't done anything this year except against the White Sox. So maybe he just needs to play the White Sox.
Aside from his home run robbery the other day, does he scare anybody else defensively, or is that just me?
He did last inning have one of his patented dive at a ball that he had no chance for. Fortunately, it wasn't hit very far and didn't get very far behind him, but he hadn't had one of those in a long time, so I was feeling better about the night.
He worries me.
Well, I don't think he's compared to the people that you're going to see out there that replace him for the most part. Yeah, he does. But to be able to step in there like he did, and I think we're going to rely on him over the next week or two, unless we end up seeing some prospects that I didn't expect. All right, I'm gonna launch the polling on that real quick. Jeremy picked Berrios, Seth picked Donaldson, I picked Jake Cave. Let's see who you guys thought was the player of the game. In the meantime, we've got a couple questions in the Q&A, so let me take a look at those. Why does Rocco need to ease Buxton in? Long-term concerns about his current status, or just being very cautious? I think it's more the latter, right? I mean, but Rocco has a history of being pretty cautious with injuries, and Buxton has a history of injuries. And between the two of them, I would think that I would say I didn't really have an issue with them sitting Buxton one day after his initial debut, and now he'll get a second day off tomorrow. And I wouldn't be shocked if we see him, 3 of the 5 games versus the Tigers.
Yeah, I think one thing that is forgotten about pretty easily is there's no really rehab assignments now. And in a 60-game season, there's a little more urgency to get guys back. So the alternative in a normal year would be, okay, he can sit out, another 3 weeks or 3 days to a week, which is a small percentage of the year, and do his 3 innings, couple at bats, 5 innings, take a day off, see how he recovers. This year, it's like with expanded rosters and a rehab or a alternate site that doesn't play full games, there's really not an alternative. So if he's gonna get back into baseball shape, he's got to do it while playing for the Twins, and it's gonna be we'll get you in a full game here. If this would have been if you'd have played last night in a game that was a blowout, probably would have seen him taken out in the 6th or 7th inning. Get a day off or get 2 days off, and then come back and play one of the 7 innings on Friday. Maybe take Saturday off, play Sunday, almost like a rehab assignment would be, but he's just doing it in the shorter season.
Seth?
Can I be circled for winning that poll?
Oh, yeah. Let's give Jeremy a little credit. He made his best case for Berrios. Let's give you some love.
Hereby circled.
You want to be circled? Okay, good reference. Let's see.
So-
We got another question, Seth, about who does Alcala project as long term? What would you project Alcala's role long term? Closer, setup man?
So also remind me later, we've got some questions coming in on Facebook Live, so let me get to those when we get a chance, or you want me to add those. As for Alcala, I really think, the Twins got him as part of the package for Ryan Presley, and I remember saying at that time, Alcala could be Ryan Presley in no time, or in a couple of years, and here he is. Fortunately, he doesn't have to with the bullpen guys the Twins have in Rogers, May, Romo, Duffy, even Clifford. They don't have to force him into that role, but he absolutely can be that guy. Whether it's this year, I don't know, but over the next few years, he's going to get higher and higher leverage situations. He could be a closer. He could be the stop guy in the 7th and 8th inning, really whichever role. And, we saw it tonight. He hit 100 at least once, and there was one 101 that popped up on the scoreboard. So that's pretty exciting. He's got a big future if he can stay healthy, which is kind of a theme.
It's also, the other nice, exciting thing about him is he's still very young. He's only 24 years old. He is only, he is 25 years old, right? And that means he's what, and he's got a ways until July 28th, which is his next birthday. I don't know how many days that is till his next birthday.
Oh my God!
I don't know, maybe 300 days, 288 days till his next birthday.
I'm not going to miss that.
That was a good one.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So that would be, he's got age on his side too.
The one thing
next question. Go ahead.
Can I just add in that the way that he pitches and having this year's his first optional assignment. So if the team wanted to stretch him out and see if he could start, I think there's an ability there that he could start. He's got that nice downward plane on his fastball.
He can keep it low in the zone.
Yep.
At least when he finds a good balance point.
And he's clearly one of the best athletes on the team as a pitcher.
God, I get one and you guys just start throwing them. But no, starters are valuable. And I think that there could be value there. They might decide that they want to use him in the bullpen, and I think that's fine. But I wouldn't rule out trying to start the guy when he's got that sort of ability.
I think they ruled that out a year ago. Not that he couldn't or shouldn't. He looks so much more confident now with all three of his pitches, fastball, changeup, and curveball, at least when he's on, which he has been since he's been up. So, but we kind of talked about it pre-show just a little bit. That game was terrible pace of play. We said we were going to start this show at 10:30 just because, it was taking so long and we all wanted to sleep. But he came in and he just got on the mound and threw strikes and got the ball. And I think that allowed Bert to be home by 11, which I think is pretty impressive too. But the other thing about Berrios is, by my California math and those at Baseball Savant, he had 5 hits against him or balls put in play against him that had a 050 expected batting average or less, which again speaks to how well he's just dominated tonight. Totally jumped topics there, but I needed to get another one in there quick.
All right, let's run the survey then for the poll for who did the best job with their obscure words of the day. I think I don't think we need to go through them all again. Jeremy, Seth, and John each took a couple stabs at it. Let's see. We have another question here about.
There's a couple questions here that I think we can just answer quickly.
Seth, actually, Seth, you said you have some on Facebook Live. Do you have some on Facebook Live that you want to answer?
Well, it shows that there's 7 comments, but I can only see 4. 2 are about Alcala, but I know Greg Allen mentions the possibility of Nick Gordon if Luis Ariz has to go on the IL, and Kirilloff if Kepler is needed. we kind of talked about Kirilloff being a long-term if he's needed for the rest of the year, kind of like Jeffers is right now. But again, I think we brought this up in previous podcasts and on Twins Daily and such as well. But Nick just got cleared about a week ago from the COVID protocol, finally got through that. In the very near future, he's expected to go to Fort Myers. I don't think he's in Fort Myers yet to start a rehab. And in order for him to even get brought to St. Paul to be on the 60-player pool, he's going to have to get himself in playing shape in Fort Myers. So Nick Gordon,
he's not an option. Bottom line, he's absolutely not an option. How about Royce Lewis?
Everything you hear says Royce Lewis is crushing the ball over in St. Paul. But, again, we're talking about a guy that has, I think, 33 games in Double-A, and it wasn't very good. Trevor Larnach had, I think, 43 games in Double-A. But, again, I don't think they're completely against it if there were an absolute need for those guys, whether it was center field or shortstop or whatever it is. And that's shown by Ryan Jeffers, who I think has about 8 games in Double-A getting called up when there was a big need. So I don't think Lewis is an option right now, or maybe Larnach. Both of those guys also do not need to be added to the 40-man roster this offseason. So for logistical reasons, there's probably reason. But again, same thing is true of Jeffers. So if the need was there, I think they'd do it. I just don't see it.
Jeremy, when you were absolutely you were shaking your head too. You also don't see Royce Lewis?
Yeah, no, for the exact reasons that Seth said, like to add him, it's not about a service time thing. It's not about a clock. It's about using that roster spot a full year before you need to, because he's not coming off. And that also limits, if he comes up this year and goes back down, you burn an option year, and that could come into play later. You'd hope that it doesn't, but there's too many things that on the why not to bring him upside that outweigh the why you would bring him upside. So yeah, the guys that aren't on the 40-man at this point, I just don't see being options unless they're going to be everyday players. And then, there might be a corner position open next year if Rosario isn't back, but for Lewis, he'd just be behind somebody, and that wouldn't make sense to add him just to have him sit on the 40 for another year.
All right, Seth won the third thing, so we're in a 1-1-1 tie. That brings us to the tiebreaker question, and I want to make it fast because we got to wrap this up. We're at a half-hour mark already, so I'll throw out a question, and that is, okay, if you've got, let's assume that both Arise and Kepler go on the 10-day IL tomorrow. You are the Twins general manager. Who are you replacing them on the roster with? And, anybody want to go first, or you want me to spit mine out first?
I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead, Seth.
I mean, who I want to see if I'm the GM and I get.
Yep. You get to pick.
I mean, then I go Royce Lewis and Alex Kirilloff, because that would be the most fun for me to watch. I don't think that's the right thing to do. I don't think they should do that, but that's what I would choose. So that's what I'm going to go with, even though I think I'd actually go with Lamont Wade and Ildemaro Vargas.
So what's your actual answer?
I'm going with Royce Lewis because I want votes. I want Royce Lewis to be in the big leagues, and I want Alex Kirilloff to be in the big leagues. So please vote for me.
Unbelievable.
Come on, Jeremy. You're the second to go last.
Give them what they want.
What I would guess happens as the GM is we'll see Wade recalled immediately, and then see Astudillo recalled, and Vargas will go through waivers, probably clear, and then be assigned to the alternate site.
I will go with. I'm going to kind of split the difference. I think we're going to pull up one of the prospects for right field. Listen, Wade is fine as a stopgap, right? But that's why he's on the roster. He's there as a stopgap. He's there if I need one person one day, or twice a week, right? But for that spot, I'm going to now take a look at one of my favorite bats in right field and see how it plays. And
So who's your
I'll
favorite
leave,
catcher?
I'll leave it to them to pick which one is best, but I'll say, based on what I know, I'll go with Kirilloff. Let's get Kirilloff out there. Let's get a left-handed bat to replace a left-handed bat. And I can afford to do that because to replace a Rise, I'm not bringing up Royce Lewis. I am bringing up the Turtle. Astudillo is going to be my new second baseman for a little while. He can handle that spot well enough, along with, or it gives me some flexibility on the infield, whether I've got Adrianza playing over there, or I've got Astudillo, and I've got a right-handed bat there. And now that I've got Josh Donaldson in my infield, it frees up Marvin Gonzalez to play some of that as well. So that one I don't need a long-term substitute for because I've got enough other options. But for the right one, I'm going to go with Carolina.
It's going to be Astudillo because Avila's back. If his back's sore, they're going to bring up a third catcher anyway.
And that's very logical.
And I'm not – so I'm going to be right, and I'm going to lose, but I'm still going to be right. So I'll circle myself one more time.
Your point is you're going to be right about Wade.
And Astudillo.
Okay, all right.
And now that you mentioned the Avila thing, he had to be taken out with a lower back injury. And I mean, yeah, the reality is you want to make sure you have a second catcher that can catch. I want to ask your thoughts, Jeremy, on Lamont Wade. John just said he's a stopgap, and I think he's a stopgap to Kirilloff and Larnach. But I also think that he can be an everyday player if given the chance, which he just hasn't been this year. And I'm not even saying Baldelli's wrong in that. But I think Lamont Wade's more than just a stopgap potentially, don't you think? Or am I overblowing? I mean, again, I rank him like 30th among Twins prospects, so I'm not saying he's some great future star, but he's a guy that can be a regular, don't you think? Or am I wrong?
I think he certainly could be, but we haven't seen him get consistent at bats ever, and we haven't seen him do anything powerful. So as much as we like the on base, there's obviously more there. And there's a reason that he's a player.
Good. Yeah, I'd suggest you're right, so I think he could, potentially be an everyday player in the same way Robbie Grossman, but he just can't be in this organization. Right? This is not the organization where he's going to be an everyday player. There's too many other better options here.
Absolutely true.
Yeah,
but this year he could be.
That's a good stopgap. And I should point out, Do Young Park just posted that Rocco Baldelli said it's a left patellar soreness for Arise, the continuation of his current knee issues. And his quote is, quote, "I think for both Kepler and Arise, these are injuries that we can manage and or won't keep them off the field for very long. I don't see either of them as a long-term concern this year." I say that while pointing out that we've heard that before.
Yeah.
I would also doesn't mean they're not going on the IL. That just means that they think that they're going to be back sometime this year.
I'd be shocked if Arise doesn't go on the injured list by Friday.
Yeah, I mean,
because they're going to have to. They're going to have to bring. They're not going to have Jeffers catch 14 innings on Friday. So, if Arise for Astudillo just makes too much sense because of the situation.
We also already saw Avila get pulled out of games a little bit early. I wouldn't be shocked if this is something he's been battling off and on for a while, and it just it flared up this week. So, all right, well, sharing the poll results. People love Kirilloff and the Turtle. I'm sure it's not because of anything I did. Don't take it personally, guys. The fact that I beat you. But I will be the post-game pint poobah today. We will be back on Friday. Oh, look at the slow burn over there by Jeremy. That's sad. Sad to watch. So we will be doing another post-game pint on Friday night following the game versus the Tigers. Actually, it will probably be Friday afternoon. Probably like 6 o'clock or so, because it's a doubleheader that starts at noon. It's a true doubleheader that starts at noon. So we'll see 2 7-inning games on Friday. So my guess is that the post-game pint will probably be about 6 p.m. on Friday. We hope that you can make it. We hope that you can watch the Twins. I want to thank very much Jeremy and Seth for staying up late and joining the post-game pint. I want to thank everybody who joined us and stayed up late for the post-game pint. You can find all of the post-game pints at postgamepint.com. You can find the most recent one, at least, at postgamepint.com. You can find all of them at our Facebook page or at our YouTube page, where we post them overnight or in the morning. And you can also listen to them on the Postgame at the Twins Daily podcast, which you can find on iTunes. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening. And we will, I'm sorry, Seth, you got something?
I was just going to say, it appears that we're getting more and more questions over at Facebook Live. If people want to go to Twins Daily on Facebook and go under this live show, I will answer questions until people stop having questions. So
Cool.
like Twins Daily on Facebook, I will go there right now and answer some questions. We got a few on Ben Rortvedt and some other minor leaguers that love to answer.
Oh, great idea. Okay, I will probably not be, because I will be trying to post this video on various places. So thank you, everybody.
If you ever want Seth to stay up later, just tweet him something about a minor leaguer like Ben Rortvedt.
Yeah.
Stay up
Absolutely ridiculous. My eyes hurt, and they've hurt since like 4:00 this afternoon. But if you want to talk prospects, let's talk prospects. Twitter, Facebook, whatever you want, let's talk prospects. And let John go do this so he can go to sleep, actually.
Yes. Okay, we're out of here.
His
Thank
hair
you, everybody,
tonight.
for coming. Win Twins. Bye.